After picking what she came for, she decided to quickly check on her babies before leaving. When she entered the room, she saw her babies lying on the bed with no clothes on. Now very worried and scared, Ogechi rushed in to pick up her mobile phone to call her husband and inform him about the situation at home. But as she entered, she saw Miss Pamela standing before her in the living room. As soon as she opened the door and entered the room her babies shared with Pamela, Ogechi saw a strange young man inside. Terrified, she attempted to scream, but the man pushed her down and ran out of the room. Ogechi stared at the middle-aged woman standing in front of her for a while, and after what seemed like a decade of silence, she turned to her husband, who was sitting beside her, and whispered to him, "I think she is perfect for the job. She is mature and seems experienced," she said to her husband, Guzie. "If you are okay with her, I am okay too," Guzie replied. "Okay, Miss Pamela, you're hired. Come with me, so I will show you my twins," Ogechi said to the woman, leading her into a room. Ogechi is a beautiful young woman in her mid-30s. She is married to her husband, Mr. Guzie Uzo, who is a wealthy businessman. Ogechi and her husband were married for 6 years before they had their children, twin baby boys. Everyone said and agreed that the arrival of their twin babies is God's blessing and compensation to them for having waited so long to conceive. Though she was happy to finally be a mother, Ogechi found it difficult taking care of her twin babies all by herself, especially after her mother-in-law, who had been around to help her take care of the babies for the first 3 months she had them, returned back to the village. Also, Ogechi owns and runs a big spa and beauty parlor. If she had to stay at home all day to look after her babies, it would affect her business. There was also a housemaid, but she could not help much because she had to focus on cooking and doing other chores. Besides, being a nanny wasn't part of the housemaid's job description, and that is why Ogechi is hiring one. Before Miss Pamela, several people had come to apply for the job after seeing the advertisements Ogechi placed. But Ogechi kept rejecting every one of them. In 3 weeks, 16 persons applied and Ogechi liked none of them. "This one is too young. I don't think she has adequate knowledge on how to care properly for a baby. This one looks too old and dirty. She will infect my babies with disease. This one is too flashy. She looks like someone who is too concerned about her appearance from the way she is dressed. She will be so engrossed in that and would neglect my babies when I'm not around." Ogechi gave several of these excuses for why she could not give the nanny job to those applicants. But with Miss Pamela, Ogechi seemed to be okay with everything about her. Miss Pamela took care of the babies very well. She woke up early every day to bathe and feed them. Somehow, she was also able to make them sleep more at night, unlike before. The babies were always happy, and Ogechi could tell that they had gained weight since Miss Pamela became their nanny. Ogechi was convinced she had made the right decision in hiring Miss Pamela. Then one day, Ogechi came home to pick up a small bag containing an item she needed urgently at her beauty spa. It was 11 a.m. and she usually did not return home at that time. Ogechi did not drive into the compound because she would be leaving again immediately. After picking what she came for, she decided to quickly check on her babies before leaving. When she entered the room, she saw her babies lying on the bed with no clothes on. "Why now? Why would Miss Pamela leave my babies this way without clothes? Does she want them to catch a cold?" Ogechi said, upset about the condition in which she found her babies. "Where is even Miss Pamela herself? Miss Pamela! Miss Pamela, she called out, but got no response. Where did she go to? She asked, wondering where Miss Pamela might be. She called out again and again and still got no response. She knocked on the bathroom door to check if Miss Pamela was in there, and when she got no response, she gently opened the door to check, but it was empty. Then, she picked up her mobile phone and dialed Miss Pamela's number. But Miss Pamela's phone was on the bed ringing, which showed that she did not take it with her wherever she went. Ogechi had asked the housemaid to go to the market to do some basic shopping before she left for her spa that morning. So, she was sure that that was where the housemaid had gone and why she was not at home at that time. But not Miss Pamela. Miss Pamela should be at home because Ogechi never sent her on any errands outside the house. In fact, she rarely sent her on any errands even within the house because she wants her to focus solely on taking care of her babies. But just to satisfy her curiosity and reduce the fear that was rising in her, Ogechi dialed the maid's mobile number to ask if by mistake Miss Pamela had left for the market with her. The maid's response was negative, and she told Ogechi that Miss Pamela was in the house with the babies when she left for the market. Ogechi went out to inquire from the gatekeeper if he had seen Miss Pamela leave the compound, but the gatekeeper said Miss Pamela never did. In fact, she never even come outside today from the main house, the gatekeeper replied in pidgin English. Now very worried and scared, Ogechi rushed in to pick up her mobile phone to call her husband and inform him about the situation at home. But as she entered, she saw Miss Pamela standing before her in the living room. "I am sorry, ma. I was in Nkiru's room using her toilet. I noticed that the toilet in my room has not been flushing well since morning, so I had to use the one in Nkiru's room. I have been suffering from an upset stomach since this morning and had rushed to the toilet when I became pressed. That is why I left the babies without clothes. I am sorry, ma'am, please," Miss Pamela quickly explained before Ogechi could utter a word. Nkiru is the maid's name. "Do not scare me like that again," Ogechi said after hearing Miss Pamela's explanation. "I will call the plumber to come take a look at your toilet," Ogechi informed her before leaving again for the spa. Another day. This is about a month after the day Ogechi had returned to find Miss Pamela missing the first time. Ogechi returned home earlier than usual, but this time, it was not to pick something up. She was having a migraine and had decided to come home to rest. Her car had also developed a technical fault on her way home, so she left it after calling a mechanic to attend to it and took a cab back home. When she got home, she decided to check on her babies first before taking a nap. As soon as she opened the door and entered the room her babies shared with Pamela, Ogechi saw a strange young man inside. Terrified, she attempted to scream, but the man pushed her down and ran out of the room. The man rushed to the gate and forcefully took the keys from the scared and confused gatekeeper. He opened the gate with them and ran out. Ogechi was terrified. She quickly checked on her babies who were sleeping at the time to ensure they were okay and unhurt. Then, she realized that Miss Pamela was also missing. She dialed Miss Pamela's mobile number. It rang, but there was no response. When she dialed it a second time, the line had gone off. Terrified, Ogechi quickly called her husband to inform him about the strange man and Miss Pamela's disappearance. A few minutes later, Gozie arrived home with some policemen. The policemen immediately began their investigation by first interrogating the gatekeeper about how the strange man had gotten into the compound. The gatekeeper said that he had been by the gate the entire time and no man had entered the house. He explained that he did not know how the strange man had come into the house. On that day, Nkiru, their maid, was on a 3-day leave. She had actually taken her leave the previous day, so the gatekeeper was the only person available to question. Ogechi's husband Gozie had installed surveillance camera in their house. He informed the police officers about this and they checked the surveillance footage, starting with the cameras outside. The footage showed that no one, including the strange person, had entered or exited the house except for the household members until that time. The footage only showed the strange man fleeing the compound after being confronted by Ogechi. They then checked the footage from the cameras inside the house. None of the cameras showed the strange man in the living room or any other rooms. However, when they checked the camera in Miss Pamela's room, which is also the baby's room, they discovered that the footage had been disconnected a few minutes before Ogechi arrived. As a matter of fact, they discovered that the surveillance footage in that room did not capture certain periods of time every day over the last 3 months. Those times were missing. The police officers informed Gozie and Ogechi of this. Ogechi said that she had never taken note of the time whenever she checked the surveillance footage each time she returned home, so she had not noticed the missing times. The police officer told them that based on this, they suspected something fishy about Miss Pamela. To aid their investigation, they requested to search Miss Pamela's belongings, which were still in the house. They broke open her box and found Miss Pamela's wig, clothes, and makeup items. While these items were normal for a woman to own and wouldn't have raised any suspicions, those were not the only things they found. Along with the other items first mentioned, they found a few t-shirts, 2 jean trousers, a few male boxer shorts, a pack of shaving stick, a tin of shaving powder, and a baseball cap. Ogechi opened her eyes to show that she was really shocked. These were male items, especially the boxer shorts and jean trousers. Besides, Miss Pamela was always on big maxi gowns and skirts. They had never seen her wear jean trousers or t-shirts. The police officers decided to review the outside surveillance footage again, this time zooming in to get a clearer view of the strange man's face. The footage clearly captured his face at the moment he forcefully took the keys from the gatekeeper. They informed Gozie and Ogechi that they would continue their investigation by searching for the strange man using the image from the footage. They hoped that if Miss Pamela was indeed a different person from the strange man, they might be able to track her down also based on the items they discovered in her box. They left, but left behind one policeman to secure the compound. Ogechi lived in fear in the next few days that followed. She chose not to go to her business place and stayed back at home with her babies. The police were able to find the strange man in the location he was hiding after 2 weeks. He was arrested, and after several efforts by the police, he confessed to having disguised himself as Miss Pamela to work as a nanny in Ogechi's house. The young man, whose name is later revealed to be Charles, told the police that he did so because he wanted to get information on the whereabouts of his missing sister. He revealed that Ogechi was his older sister's friend and roommate back in the university. Years after school one day, Ogechi and his sister, whose name is Chiamaka, reconnected again. And that was when Ogechi asked Chiamaka to do her a favor in return for the favor Chiamaka had earlier asked of her. What had happened was that Charles was in the hospital at that time and needed to undergo surgery for hernia. They were poor, so Chiamaka sought money for the surgery. On that day, Chiamaka had run into Ogechi and learned from her that Ogechi was married to a rich man. She begged Ogechi for help, for money for her brother's surgery, and that was when Ogechi asked her for a favor in return. Ogechi had had an abortion while in school, which had resulted in her losing her ability to conceive. She begged Chiamaka to help her give her husband a child through in vitro fertilization, commonly known as IVF. Chiamaka needed the money and agreed to do this. Ogechi managed to secretly collect her husband's sperm without his knowledge and used it to fertilize Chiamaka's eggs. Ogechi arranged all of this at a private hospital in another location. When the IVF was successful and Chiamaka became pregnant, Ogechi deceived her husband by showing him a fake pregnancy test report and taking illegal injections to make her belly swell, creating the appearance of pregnancy. Ogechi made Chiamaka sign a document which states that they would keep their dealing a secret and that Chiamaka must relocate to another African country after the babies were born. However, on Chiamaka's way to the airport as was agreed, Ogechi sent assassins to kill Chiamaka. Chiamaka had told her younger brother Charles how she came about the money for his surgery, and she had also shown him a picture of Ogechi on her mobile phone. So, months after, when Charles did not hear from his sister since the day she was supposed to have traveled out, he called Ogechi to find out about the whereabouts of his sister. But immediately Ogechi heard that it was Chiamaka's brother who was on the phone and that he was calling because he was worried about the whereabouts of his sister. Ogechi ended the call and blocked his line. She also blocked every other line he tried to use to reach her. This made Charles got suspicious of Ogechi, and that was why he disguised himself as a middle-aged woman to work as a nanny when he saw Ogechi's advertisement for a nanny, because he wanted to be close to Ogechi and hoped to get information about the whereabouts of his sister. But it had been difficult as Ogechi never spilled or gave any clue. That was why he stayed in their house for that long until the day he was caught. The first time he was almost caught, he had heard Ogechi approaching and he quickly hid under the bed before Ogechi entered the room because he had taken off his disguise. It was that same day that he had lied that he was in Nkiru's toilet after he put back his disguise when Ogechi returned inside. Unfortunately for him, he was not fast enough the second time and so was caught by Ogechi. Ogechi really does not know what Chiamaka's younger brother looked like, so she could not tell that it was him when she saw him on that day. He confessed this to the police and revealed that he always disconnected the surveillance camera in the room whenever Gozie and Ogechi left for work because he wanted to be free a little of the clothes and makeup. He never interacted much with Nkiru nor with the gatekeeper and would always remain in the room whenever he took off his disguise. The police informed Gozie of Chelsea's arrest and confession. Gozie confronted Ogechi and she denied Chelsea's allegations, swearing that she does not know any Chiamaka, nor did she trick her husband about the babies. However, in the middle of her denial that day, the police, Charles, and Chiamaka showed up in the house. Ogechi was shocked to see Chiamaka. You're supposed to be dead, she said, stuttering in fear. Well, the assassins had actually shot Chiamaka that day and left her in the bush after mentioning to her that it was Ogechi who paid them to assassinate her. But Chiamaka did not die. She was rescued by a passerby who saw her lying unconscious in a pool of blood. Chiamaka had been in a coma all the while, and that was why she had not revealed herself until now. She had returned home after regaining consciousness that day and was told by her neighbors that her younger brother Charles had been arrested for days by the police. She rushed to the said police station they told her he was taken to, and that was how she learned about what her brother had done. She reported Ogechi to the police, revealing the dealing between her and Ogechi and Ogechi's attempts to assassinate her. And that was why they are all now in Ogechi's house. Ogechi could no longer deny the truth when she saw Chiamaka. Ogechi was later arrested and jailed for attempted murder. Ogechi's husband Guzi was disappointed in her and ended their marriage. He allowed Chiamaka to take the babies with her. However, he did not neglect the babies and provided child support because after all, the babies are biologically his. The end. What do you think about this story? I hope you enjoyed it. I would love to know. Please leave a comment. Thank you for listening and see you in my next video. Bye.